Your camera's already off.
Thing down at the bottom. Yeah, I'm not sure you're even on because we don't see you.
Oh. Okay.
Pardon me?
Yeah, so there's a Zoom meeting.
Oh. So how do you get the,
You click up there.
where do you get the,
What's the question?
what do you get the
Okay.
link to YouTube?
Why don't you
Should,
click on
should
the-
I call in or am
Why
I
don't you try
okay?
calling in? Just in case, because you did drop out before.
Okay, what number?
I will send it to you.
YouTube.
It should be in the invite.
There's no mic or can't we?
Give me 1 second. I'm going to be inviting.
All right.
Still
There's
have.
Chris White. Good.
Can you hear me, Gary?
Yeah.
This is Brian.
Well, there you are. Yeah, you're up there at the top. Yep. Saw you sign in. Got most people here. Let me just, here we go.
I usually sign in with my phone. I'm using the computer today.
Yeah,
Oh.
well,
Welcome.
whatever works. So welcome to Tatiana. Tatiana, where are you dialing in from?
San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay, Casey's in, yeah.
Okay, let's see.
There we go.
Mobile.
All right, did I just hear? Oh, I see Casey Mars in there.
Yeah.
And I see Chris Wiggins, you're in. All right. Do we have RJ out there? All right. Okay, well, we are live to the world and recording right now. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start tonight's Cleantech Meetup, electric nights and electric bikes. I'm really excited for this one because this is, I think, going to be the coolest meetup of at least this month, maybe the year. All right, first I want to remind everyone to remain on mute if you're not speaking. You can use the hand raise function and you can jump into the chat and talk with people. If you're curious where that chat is, I'm going to send you guys a quick message, and the message is going to be these slides that I'm operating off of, because I have links all in the slides, and you can follow along and click the click on the links as we go through. Okay. So welcome. I'm Thomas Hall, Executive Director of CleanStart. CleanStart's been building Sacramento as a clean tech hub since 2005. I'm going to do a quick brief overview of what CleanStart is. So we are a nonprofit that's accelerating clean tech companies in the greater Sacramento area. Our team consists of Gary Simon, founder and chairman, and we also have 5 amazing associates who some of them are in here helping me operate the event tonight. And to recap kind of what we've done recently, we've moved on to doing these regular CleanStart to-dos, which I'll give you connections to in a bit. We've had over 20, we've had 27 of them with over 550 attendees. Additionally, these Cleantech Meetups we've been doing since 2018 and have had over 1,000 people attend them so far. This is actually the 22nd Cleantech Meetup. And this year with the big pivot to online, we've adjusted really well by recording these videos and sharing them out there, along with continually having these community events so that people can not miss on the networking aspects of things. Gary, Simon, Gary, do you have anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean, we're just trying to build a community, keep everybody informed as to what's going on and keep the momentum up. While we used to get together frequently, and also we had food and drink, You'll have to supply those two things yourself, but at least we can keep in touch with you and, make sure that you're aware of what's going on in the community, hear from some of the fabulous companies we're going to talk to tonight and take your questions. So thank you all for joining.
All right. Thank you very much. And if you really appreciate all this work that we're doing, support us, help us by buying us a cup of coffee. If you get into the slides, which I will share the link to the slides again really quick, you can go in there and do that. Or you can go and just follow the link that I'm now putting to our PayPal account if you just want to support us by doing that. I know a lot of you donated when you signed up for this event, and I want to let you know that we very much appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
Our Clean Start sponsors are Weintraub Tobin, Blue Tech Valley, Sac State, SMUD, and Moss Adams. They help keep our programs going. All of them joined us this year, hoping to support more of the these Cleantech Meetups specifically. And I'm going to highlight some of the opportunities that they have in just a second. First, I wanted to say some things about what SMUD's doing. Since we are talking about electric mobility here, I really want to highlight SMUD is going forward and building a mobility center. Now, this mobility center is to do basically research, R&D, and connect people with the careers of the future around clean mobility. They're looking at building it in one of the identified economic zones that SMUD has. And it's a place for basically that they want to define the future of mobility right here in Sacramento, which is great. As Clean Start, we're trying to promote Sacramento as a clean start hub. We're really excited for this, and we're just really looking forward to being successful. Now, some quick announcements. You might have heard me talking about those to-dos. Now, those to-dos are really easy 30-minute meetings at 9 a.m. where we have someone from the community come and talk with us about what they're doing, what's on their to-do list. So next week on Thursday, we have Empower Energy. We have Ezra Beeman coming and talking about his battery packs and how they fit into the future of the electric grid. And then next week, we have Clipper Creek and Calci. Now, Clipper Creek, they are manufacturing in the greater Sacramento area, actually up there in Auburn. And they are still manufacturing during COVID, which means they have to have all the PPE, all the their sales team has to completely move online. So they've made a lot of big adjustments to continue their growth. So I'm excited to hear from Will Barrett of Clipper Creek. And then on the 15th, that Thursday, we have Cal Seed and New Energy Nexus. Joy from them is going to be talking about what they're up to and a lot of the exciting programs they have going on. So there's a lot of companies in the Sacramento area that have been a Cal Seed recipient. A Cal Seed is an award that gives, I think, $70,000 for ideation stage companies. So if you have an idea, you can go apply for it. It's probably the easiest grant money that you can go out there and get. By easy, I mean easiest to apply for. If you get into these links, I want to highlight, I got some people in the waiting room. I also want to highlight that there's some really good calendars that you can follow around, not just Clean Starts. The SBDC of Northern California, Startup SAC, Blue Tech Valley, Empower Networks. This is a really good one because it has all basically the clean tech things that are happening in California. They're all located there. It's like the Facebook for the CEC and Epic Funding Clean Tech. Hacker Lab, which is where I'm stationed. If I were to go and turn off my background, I am here at the lovely Hacker Lab. I'm actually not hovering above the Golden One Center. Confused you all, didn't I? Additionally, Weintraub Tobin, Moss Adams, they have some great COVID-19 support resources. And if you have a startup and you want to work on your entrepreneurship skills, check out Sacramento State's Carlson Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. They have a weekly entrepreneurship toolkit series. It's taught by Professor Brian Gladden. And it's a really good way to learn about how you pivot and do customer discovery. Is there any other announcements that I might have missed, Gary?
No, I don't think so, but Laura's here. Is there anything else that you would add, Laura?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. All right, so let's move on.
And if you're wondering how, let me go back. So without further ado, here's why this is, I think this is one of the cooler clean tech meetups that we have. We have 3 companies, hopefully. I just wanted to quickly check out in the audience is RJ here. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, is that RJ?
No, this is Chris.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I can
okay.
hear you, Chris. All right. So we have Rumble Motors here, Glide Cruisers, who's cruising out there in the desert, and Mars Cycles. So the way it's going to work is we're going to have 20-minute presentations with Q&A. We're going to start with Chris Wiggins, the founder of Glide Cruisers, followed by Casey Mars, and hopefully we'll have RJ that will make it into the meeting tonight, and he can tell us about Rumble Motors. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Glide Cruiser slide set. And
Just so that everybody's aware, Chris has promised to tell us the story of his recent encounters with the Sacramento police. So
Yes.
that may be the highlight of his talk. I don't know.
let's hope it's positive. All right, so Chris, just tell me when to go forward and take
There we are.
Okay, can everybody can hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Good. I haven't switched to the other mobile, so sorry my video feed is not live, but anyhow, so at Glide, we design and manufacture a unique line of electric stand-up cycles for short-range transportation. We've been in business since 2010. Slide.
Next slide.
Next slide. Yeah. These are not your typical electric bikes, obviously. No seats, no pedals, but they do include a lot of the high quality components that you find in high-end mountain bikes, such as premium suspension forks, hydraulic disc brakes, and fat tire performance tires. In the next slide, go ahead. You can see I've got call outs here coming to show some of the major features. So we have a slide out battery that allows you to charge on the countertop. This is a 4-inch fat tire system. So we've got our larger specialized 4-inch suspension fork there. On all our machines, we install hydraulic disc brakes because you need the stopping power. And these are not your typical electric scooters. And in fact, they're much larger. Those of you that have seen them in person, much more powerful and adult machines. So next slide. So one of the things many of you may have heard of the paddleboard industry and the term people use called SUPs. Well, we've coined a phrase, ESUP, electric stand-up, really for the purpose of helping us brand what we're doing a little better than telling people we're electric scooters. We try not to do that because people think kids' toys and like the Razor scooters and so on. So they're much bigger, more substantial machines. And so why stand up? Really for us, it's a unique performance ride. Only takes a couple 100 feet to get used to it. Some of you out there I know have ridden, so you know this. You get a benefit of a higher line of sight, so visibility over cars and other bikes and so on. And still the benefit of a low center of gravity, actually much lower than riding a pedal bike. So they're very safe and easy to ride. And it's an innovative platform that creates our niche in the e-bike market. So on the right side of this slide, we talk about, we've got police and security versions, so they're good for that. Adventure tours, which I'll talk about in a bit. Logistics warehouse use. RV ground transport for people that like camping and have something to get around, and commuters. So we've got a whole bunch of people that ride every day to work and school with these things. So short range commuters. Next slide. So this shows our company division. So we do retail direct via internet sales. We're just starting to get into some of the local retail stores. It's been a long haul, but slowly getting there. Guided tours under the banner Glidesdale Adventures. I'll talk more about that. In public safety, And on the right of the slide, you'll see that's a picture of one of the officers down at the Berkeley, City of Berkeley Police Department, which was our first large city customer. So we're super stoked to get them. And we'll move to the next slide. So this shows our retail division models. We actually make 7, but this is our Fat Tire series. Prices range from $3,000 to $6,500. And one of the things that we've done recently, especially the Fat Tire models, which are our most popular now, is we've started doing our typical is a 48-volt machine, which is pretty fast, up to about 30 miles an hour. Some of my buddies and other customers convinced me to do faster, so we went to a 3,000 watt motor, getting us up to 72 volts and speeds up above like 40, 45. So it's pretty scary. I don't actually like to sell too many of those. I'm worried about the people riding them, but they're exhilarating and fast. So, okay, next slide. So here's how I've been out social distancing. This is along the bike trails in Folsom. I hope it's going to load and play. Okay, it's not playing very well on my side. Is it working for you guys? Well,
It's
this
a
is
good
the
screen
latest.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is the latest model for me, demo that I made with some cool features and new bullet switches and dual lights and all kinds of things. So this is how I spent one afternoon, and often I go and hit the grocery store, and this is my mode of getting my groceries sometimes. So it's a heck of a nice way to get out and do the. Okay, next slide if you're able to play. Hopefully it doesn't get stuck here. So here's a bit about the police market. So now from our understanding, by 2023, there's supposed to be 30% of the fleet embracing zero emissions in the state of California and possibly other neighboring cities and states. So, and it's quite an impact, and there's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of vehicles. So this has been a great solution for the city agencies trying it. We're getting a good community outreach aspect to it. And so here's the part where I'll tell you the story on Sacramento PD. So about a month ago, a little over, we had finally got a demo after trying for 5+ years to get in there. So we get in and we end up training 6 or 7 of their guys to ride the downtown corridor, which is, K Street Mall, the King's Center, and what will be the new rail yard development. So they were really pumped. After 3-4 days, they told us, man, these things are awesome. People are excited and friendly to talk to us, and the community outreach piece is there. So 4 days later, they call us up and say, well, guys, we've had to park them because of the riots. And we have to go defend the Capitol. We can't take your machines. So anyway, 2-3 weeks later, we gave them an extension and we go and pick them up. And sadly, they said, we were so excited to have them. But what happened was all these demonstrations and riots and things and all the movement to defund the police have created a real problem for them. And I hope it gets over quick, but they told us, they said, hey, we're not sure we have jobs and certainly not a budget for probably a couple years. So I'm hoping that story can change. So if anyone out there is part of the city and can help us navigate that, boy, we had a great early reception, but that was the end of the story. And a lot of those guys got injured. So I felt really bad, and I have a lot of respect for the police, and I hope it can turn around. Okay, next slide. So here are the police models we're doing. And so I'll go through, actually, let's just move forward. So, but the only difference is we're doing red and blues on those and sirens. So it's a great machine and worked well for them. So the next division are adventure tours. So my partner in the adventure side is Steve, who's on the right of the screen there. And we did the first operation in Calistoga, the wine country. And so if any of you are out there that may be interested, it is a super fun thing. We tour 4 wineries, do wine tasting. My partner Steve's along to make sure nobody gets overserved and hurts themselves. and lunch is served. So it's a neat way to get out and see what these machines are about. Next slide. I've got a video. I hope this one plays. It's an intro video of the adventure tours. So here we go.
Hey everybody, Steve with Clydesdale Adventures. I want to say thanks for visiting our site and hope to see you at one of our tours this fall in Calistoga. I wanted to take a minute today and tell you a little bit about the Clydesdale, the Glide for short, because I'm pretty sure that 99% of you watching this video right now have never seen a product quite like this. This is classified as a stand-up electric bike. So it's going to do 20 miles an hour. It's going to go approximately 25 to 30 miles on a battery charge. And the great part for what we're going to do with guided tours, it's 100% electric. So no pedaling. You get to just enjoy your day in the valley and just have an awesome time. It's kind of the best of both worlds. You get to be outside, have all the benefits of being on a bike without any of the work. As you can see, it's got a very low center of gravity. You saw when I rode up that it's very, very easy to ride, very intuitive. In fact, in the video that you're watching right now, all the people riding, today was their first day on the Glide. So you see the smiles, you see the excitement, and it's just a very, very easy product to ride. It's also a very intuitive product to ride. You know, I've had people as young as 12 years old ride this, and I've had an 85-year-old ride it. And the vast majority of the people get on this and become comfortable within 30 feet. So Steve with Clydesdale Adventures, if you have questions, give me a call, shoot us an email. We look forward to seeing you this fall in the Napa Valley.
Okay. Next slide, if we can get to it. I only have one more. One more slide, guys. So that at least gives you a little picture of what we're doing there. So we are looking at this as our recurring revenue opportunity. We're starting to sell fleet packages where we do and offer turnkey operations in licensed territories. And we include like all the marketing, the web presence, all that as part of it. So it's a strategy that we can allow people to get out and try them, and then whoever owns one of these licensed operations can turn into retail and sell units that way for us. So if anyone out there knows somebody, we're super excited about this moving forward. By the way, our newest rental operation or guided tour will be in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai, coming up sometime next year, we hope. So last slide is just an exit slide. I appreciate the opportunity to share this with everybody. If anyone has questions after, I look forward to it. And I don't know if I'm answering questions now or later, but that's my presentation. Thank you.
We have time
Fantastic.
for one or two
Great.
questions. Do we have one or two questions?
Terrence had one. Terrence, go ahead. You're on mute.
Well, his question is, why not a scooter design? So Terrence, do you want to clarify on that?
Not sure I understand the question. Why not a scooter design? Would it?
Yeah, probably something with a seat, you know, like a Vespa.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you, we're thinking about that, but earlier in the presentation, I pointed out this is our niche in the market, and there, quite honestly, are hundreds of cheap imports from China with, you know, cheap scooters that would be really tough to compete with. So we went for quality, high performance, and this is a niche. And just quickly, I had a personal interest because I was a competitive water skier and snow skier, and I like being on my feet feeling G-forces. So there we go. We're very excited about our niche.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I was on mute. But yeah, I was wondering why you chose a scooter design or a bike design instead of a scooter design, because it would be, I mean, it seemed like it would be, you know, more stylish.
Well, these are fun to ride if you ever get a chance, and they're good looking machines.
Yeah,
So
that-
thank you for your question.
It's an awesome ride. And I think once you do it, the stand-up version, it's quite addictive.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
I'm gonna go ahead and start
Um,
sharing.
I have another question.
Sure.
How are you balancing the range with the motorization, and how a lot of times I'm kind of curious about the differentiation between the use of the battery and the range, as far as like how they balance how much weight it's going to be able
Sure.
to carry in terms of the battery and things like that.
Sure. Well, our frames are pretty strong. We can carry up to 600-pound weight capacity, and the battery capacity certainly is a function of speed, weight, and hills and terrain. But typically, we're getting 25 to 30-mile range on our largest batteries. And in the case of like the police units use, they always buy second batteries, so they swap them out like at lunchtime or, you know, a break in the day, and so they always have a fresh battery. But yeah, no pedals, so obviously you're not doing pedal assist to make the battery go farther.
It's not a big deal about the range because people can just plug and play the batteries, but how long does it take to recharge the batteries?
3 to 4 hours from empty. So, you know, and then a proportion of that if it's half full.
And one more question, if I may.
Okay.
What do you think about the scooter market in terms of the companies that are doing the rentals, and situation in New York and some other cities where they're using them in a reckless way? I mean, do you think you'll be able to expand with that situation being the way it is?
No, we have no intentions of ever participating on the citywide levels and just general rentals, because our machines are far too expensive and high performance for that. And if you've noticed the news, there are a lot of companies that have been shut down, including recently Jump Bike, you know, not because of the pandemic only, but I think Jump is out of business from what I heard, and there's a couple others that are shifting gears, and it's such a hassle to protect the asset. So that's the reason we chose to do guided tours, where it's a controlled environment and, you know, an exceptional outing rather than just the rental thing.
And now I'd
The-
like to.
Well, Bill Dean has a question. Are hydraulic brakes hard to maintain?
Actually, the beauty about that is the main components that we have done, all, like hydraulics on all our machines now, are easily serviced at a regular bike shop, any pro bike shop. So the question is, no, it's, if you know how to do it, it's simple, but it's also cheap to go to a bike shop and have them bleed the brakes once every other year if you need it, which, you know, a good bleed will last quite a while.
I think
And does
there's
Segway going out of production help?
It may, especially in our police and security markets. So, yeah, I've been thinking about that lately. We'll see.
Yeah. So Thomas, I hadn't heard about Jump Bike being in trouble. Have you heard?
Yeah,
Anything
they
you can-
closed down their operations in Sacramento and I believe other cities. I think part of it was due to COVID, just because people stopped riding them and they weren't operating on a large margin to begin with. And like you said, you know, carrying the assets and having to maintain them. And all of a sudden, no one's riding them. If you're already operating at a loss, it becomes a lot harder.
Yeah.
Jump,
Right.
Jump was owned by Uber, and Uber sold them to Lime. And it just happened right at the time that they pulled all the bikes off, and Lime and then COVID happened. And so it was supposed to be a transition, and it wasn't.
Wow.
There's still Spin in Sacramento too.
Wow.
Thank you for that
Yeah.
background, Chris.
Opportunity.
And I saw one more question about why have you explored leasing them? We're going to save that question towards the end, and we're going to let
Okay.
Casey Mars of Mars Cycles take it away. So just tell me when to click, and you'll be surprised. It's Casey. Can we hear you?
Yeah.
All
Can you
right.
hear me?
Excellent.
Yeah, there you are, Casey.
Hey guys, I appreciate the time here. My presentation isn't going to be as smooth, probably. I just sent a bunch of pictures over to Thomas this afternoon, so I thought I'd just start talking a little bit about my background and why I do what I do. I've gone from business to hobby to business to hobby, and I'm kind of back doing it as a hobby again. I've have over 10 years of building electric vehicles, from electric cars to lithium batteries to my own line of electric bikes. And I'll get into that right now. I grew up riding BMX and motocross, so I have a passion for just that whole culture. And also being from Southern California, I just love the whole custom motorcycle scene and the whole fabrication scene. And so I started teaching myself how to weld, and I really got into building electric bikes from this first bike. This is not my bike. The one on the picture, that's a guy named Jesse Rook. He passed away here actually it was last year, on a motorcycle in Arizona, unfortunately. But this was one of his bikes that I saw when I was 18 or 19. A fellow motocross buddy of mine showed me it, and I was just, wow, that thing's awesome. And so I always loved the beach cruiser-esque vibe to the motorcycle. I thought that was really cool how he did that. And I ended up going and hanging out at his shop in Huntington Beach and, kind of talking to him and seeing how he built his stuff. And then I would go home to my Costa Mesa garage and I'd start fabricating stuff. And so I started out building electric bicycles over 10 years ago. It's probably 07, 08 in my garage, but they were completely custom. I use chromoly. Chromoly is a steel that they use in BMX. When I grew up around BMX, that's where I first learned of chromoly. So it's a super strong steel, but it's lightweight. It's a little more expensive. So a lot of people use that for race car chassis. I welded for about a month for a guy that built race car chassis using chromoly. So they're used in aircraft and aerospace. So anyway, I use chromoly, and I wanted to have that whole beach cruiser vibe, and I thought it might be cool to bring that to the bring the electric technology in, and instead of building a gas bike or just a pedal bike, I thought it might be cool to build an electric version. So these are two bikes under the red one, which is Jesse Rook's bike. These are two I built. This is what I called the M1. It was my very first bike I built. That left one is just a rolling chassis outside my house in Costa Mesa. One of the things I did was use actual motorcycle components on my bikes. This was pre-fat tire phase, so you couldn't even get fat tires at the time. And so I wanted something beefy, and I wanted something that you could put a higher voltage to and feel more safe riding. And so that's why I use the motorcycle tires, and I'm just a motorcycle fan and I think they're cool. So, but that makes the bike more expensive. It makes it heavier. So there are some downsides, but I wanted to keep it a bicycle. Basically, I was trying to build the closest thing to a custom motorcycle, but still kind of keep it somewhat in the bicycle range. I was concerned about the law at the time. Again, this was over 10 years ago. And it's funny how things have changed and grown since then. This bike down here that's wood, I started building my bikes around 07, 08. I was working full time doing other stuff, and a buddy made a website and put one picture of this bike up. And I had a lot of people interested, and I didn't know if I wanted to do it full time or not. And out of the blue one day, I checked my email, and it was from the lead singer of Metallica, and he wanted a bike. So that kind of like pushed me to go for it, and actually, okay, I'll build him a bike and then see what happens from there. And that's the bike I built him. That's actually his bike. It came out really nice. That's actually real cherry wood for the panels, and then we used the veneer around the battery box. So that was actually my first bike I delivered in 2010, and I took it up to the Metallica studio in San Francisco. Next slide. These are other bikes. That's another picture up top right of the cherry wood bike I built. We did a bike for Pirelli. I'm now sponsored by Dunlop. So this bike that was done from Pirelli, that was several years ago, but hopefully I'm sponsored by Dunlop. They sent me a bunch of free tires for my motorcycles. So we'll see if I keep doing it. Hopefully I'll keep getting free tires from them. The bottom left, that was a cool picture. I just thought I'd throw in there. That's a customer of mine from Thailand. So that was the very first bike. I sold these all over the world. They usually took, because everything was handmade, they took anywhere from 4 months to a year. The Metallica guy's bike took me a year to build just because it was all handmade. And I had some health issues at the time and working and other stuff going on. So anyway, the bottom right, I did electric bikes for 6 or 7 years, but I always had other side projects I was building. That's an electric car we converted with the help of the guys from AC Propulsion. If you're a Tesla fan, you know the first electric roadsters basically had the AC Propulsion drivetrain. So that's a friend of mine, Chris. 3 or 4 years ago, we got a shop together in Southern California, and we started doing all kinds of crazy electric vehicle projects. So I took a break from the bikes for a little while to just kind of get my hands on higher voltage systems and, kind of build custom batteries and do a lot of other projects. Next slide. So I always wanted to build a street legal, fast electric motorcycle. I started with bicycles for the liability. I had a different business partner at the time, and he was 53 at the time when I partnered with him. You know, he was kind of more established, and I thought it would be a good fit. And I'm still friends with him. He's a great guy, but for liability, he didn't really want to kind of R&D anything faster, which I understand. We split up a couple of years ago, and I've recently moved up to Northern California. I've been up here for about 3 years now, and I'm finally getting back to basically building for fun. And so I started prototyping a street legal electric motorcycle using chromoly and the same theme, the same beach cruiser theme as Jesse Rook had. And I kind of do the Schwinn. I wanted the Schwinn feel, but I wanted something light, strong, and fast, and obviously custom made and with that custom kind of character to it. So this is a couple of shots of my first prototype frame. I use this fixture. When I get a frame just right after my prototypes, then I'll build a better fixture to do a production run. But this is my first fixture for this frame. So I threw a couple of pictures there. You can kind of see on the other bottom one, I have the seat pan. So it's all custom made. I started with aircraft grade chromoly that I get in Southern California. And then I just roll it and, I actually start, if you can see on the bottom left, it's actually rebar. That bike to the left of it on the right picture, you can kind of see it on the bottom left, but I actually build the bike out of rebar first to get all my kind of like to get the lines right and do all my prefab, and then I go and start the prototyping frame. Next slide. This is actually the bike that's come together. The left one is me. I haven't had it running yet. I just finished kind of the rolling chassis of it. The left black and white picture, that's me. That's kind of me with the higher bars. I have a bunch of different setups on this. I just wanted one chassis that I could really kind of change up and do a lot of stuff with. Building my bicycles, I've had people want a 2-seater. So I wanted to design this to actually be a little more practical to where you could potentially, 2 people could get on it. But I wanted to basically to build a beach cruiser for the highway. The whole front end assembly I already had. And that's why I ended up using that front end assembly. The picture in the middle. So I first started the black and white picture. I actually designed where the whole inside of the bike is battery. And it's only about 3 inches long. It's a 18650 essentially, all stacked up top. So it's as thin as an 18650, the whole bike. I have some of the power electronics underneath. I also come up with another design, which is the middle one, where it has a flat, wider battery. I think that works out better. It shows the lines off more of the beach cruiser frame. I ended up putting a rack on there because there's a bunch of empty space. So I'm messing with, you know, a way to actually to store, you know, for some utility. That's California redwood. And I made like a little wire rack, but there's tons of different options you can do. And this is just the first one I've tried. I'll probably make a different kind of all wood rack with a netting. I kind of like the taller bars too, but I don't know. The beach cruiser bars are nice too. Next slide. And I forgot to say that I got sponsored by Kicker Audio too. Excuse me. The speakers on the other picture, those were all Kicker Audio speakers. And so they're supporting me too. Miller Welders has been a long time partner of mine. They sponsored me about 8 years ago. And so I'm really fortunate to be working with Miller too, and excited to start building faster stuff, you know, with the same quality of my bicycles. This is my 13-year-old niece sitting on it. I wanted to build something really comfortable. So that kind of shows you her being, I think she just turned 14. So I wanted to build something that wasn't intimidating, that I could get my nephews and nieces on. The bike weighs 210 pounds with like a 4-kilowatt battery. So it's still, it's super light for a motorcycle, and I wanted this to be a motorcycle. This is a mid to high power motorcycle. So I wanted something with all the power that I would have fun riding it and I could pass people on the highway, but also easy enough to ride that I could get my nieces and nephews and go to Yosemite or go to Lake Tahoe and ride some of the back roads. You know, I mean, motorcycles are dangerous, but there's a lot of places in California here that I think we could utilize and get out on the road and still be safe. So here's some shots of the rolling chassis. One of the challenges of selling my bicycles were they were just so expensive. I had something air on Discovery Channel, and so many people got on my website, it shut the website down. And I only sold one bike out of the Discovery Channel, and it kept airing over and over again. So that was a little frustrating. But I think my bikes were $7,500. And so for what it was, you know, I think if I could have dropped the price down to $3-4 grand, you know, I would have obviously sold a lot more, but considering I'm building everything here in California, it's super challenging. So I'm thinking with the few pictures I've put up online on Instagram, I've had some people interested in pricing and whatnot. And I'm trying to get the pricing for something like this as low as possible. And I think it can be done, but you need some kind of volume. I would love to sell a kit like this, basically a rolling chassis kit for $4,500. And then you can buy a battery from me, a custom battery. I could potentially, if you live in California, I could potentially also rent you a battery. That would be fairly simple. And so you could probably have a full chassis for $4 or $5 grand and then rent a battery for, I don't know, $100 a month and only ride when you rent the battery. Since the battery is such a huge cost of the build. Anyway, so this is what the Dunlop tires that they sent me. Next slide, I guess. This is just more pics of the bike. You know, I kind of, my 14-year-old nephew fit really well on it, but I also made this laid back to put the bars even more into your lap. I really wanted to hit that kind of beach cruiser feel, really comfortable. You know, but you felt stable at, you know, 65, 75 miles an hour. I used this wheel setup is the same wheel setup that a lot of the Harley Sportsters run. That's a 21 up front, and that's a 130 millimeter rear tire, or 140, I'm sorry, 140 millimeter rear tire. So it's really wide. It's almost as wide as a Sportster, and that's a 35 kilowatt hub motor that's liquid cooled. So I actually have the, maybe you can see it in one of the pictures. I actually have the radiator up under the frame. So it'll get the air. I'll probably build a guard or something for it in case you know, kind of like a slide guard. So I'm really excited. I haven't gotten the battery done yet, but you know, with considering my bicycles, I was using a 3 to 5 kilowatt battery, and considering this is a 35 kilowatt, you know, this is going to go really fast for being 200 pounds. So it'll be really fun to ride. that picture up top right on my computer anyways, from In-N-Out, that rack holds 17 double cheeseburgers and 15 fries. In case you're, I thought it might be cool to like cruise the In-N-Out on a beach cruiser, you know, going passing people on the highway and then come back and get grub for everybody. But anyway.
Is that metric or imperial?
Imperial. So I don't know. I took a picture over by In-N-Out, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different ways you can do that rack setup. I did kind of wire around it. I don't know if I like that or not, but the whole netting, you know, you could just do a flat wood top with just holes to strap a netting down. A lot of different ways to do that. Is that my last slide?
Yeah. Do we have questions from the audience for Casey?
Yeah.
A lot of people that like the way that it looks.
Yeah, awesome, Casey. You got a bunch of people salivating here in the audience.
I'm one of them.
I wish I could.
Definitely one.
I would love. Well, so I didn't say this. I worked for Tesla for a little while, and I had a friend that rode a Harley to work every day, and she said, "Build me an electric motorcycle, but I want a trike." And I already started fabricating it up, but that swing arm, I can swap the swing arm, and I fabbed up like a trike swing arm. So you could use a hub motor, all-wheel drive. That's one of the reasons why I use the hub motor, is because for the potential for all-wheel drive. So you could have a dual motor hot rod essentially, and you can do that on a trike anyway. So the reason I mentioned that is all the people you said salivating. I would love to get a trike set up and just let people, and we'll go on group rides like Glide, you know. And the cool thing about a trike in California, and this is what my friend told me, she goes, you don't have to have a motorcycle license if it's a 3-wheel trike. So I could potentially just get group rides going with people with a valid driver's license. And
wow,
that would be a really fun way to experience California. You know, I'd love to do like a 5 to 10 group ride through Yosemite, or, you know, a 5 to 10 group ride through certain places in Tahoe or down by the beach. You know, that'd be really fun.
Yeah,
that's close to the business. That's close to the business model of a organization I saw a few years ago, like 5 years ago or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Business model was to put really high performance electric bicycles into areas like parks and stuff like that as a concession in those places.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
With
planning to sell them the
over
batteries.
50 people on the call. Can people use the raise hand function if they have a question, or put it into the chat?
Okay.
I think Chris White would buy one of those tricycles right now if she could.
Do we have any raised hands out there? I know there's been a lot of people. Mike Bell. All right, Mike Bell, go ahead.
Hey, Casey. It's been a while, been a long time.
Yeah.
I had a question about if in your research and looking at competitors, or could you mention earlier about a kit or supplying a kit for people that want to put things together? Have you seen any kits out there in regards to retrofitting an existing motorcycle to make it electric vehicle?
Yeah, so the motor I'm using, there are people that sell just basically hub motor kits for electric motorcycle conversions. You know, and there is a small market for that, but all of this is just such a niche market that's why I really go from hobby to to business to hobby, just because it's so, you know, it's so small. But yeah, it gets a little, I mean, a hub motor allows that because you can just strip the wheel and put a hub motor on, and then just strip the motor and everything and put just some lead acid batteries inside the frame. So you can do that.
Okay.
I prefer to build everything from scratch. You know, Tesla kind of ran into that with their first roadsters. You know, they were like, it's a lot better just to build everything, you know, from the ground up. You know, the Model S, and not that I'm Tesla or anything, but but it makes sense.
Okay, so the order's going to be Mark Gross followed by Kasha, and then there's some people from the chat I'm going to call on. So let's start with Mark Gross.
Okay. So question about batteries. One thing, I missed when you said how much it weighed.
210 pounds with like
the battery itself.
The battery weighs like a 3 kilowatt. I think it weighs 30 pounds. I would have to get back to you on that, or 4 kilowatt.
Okay.
So it's using just an 18650. So you can kind of do the math with an aluminum battery box and a few hardware. I actually I use a wire bonding system. So the guys I started working with, AC Propulsion, they have the same wire bonder that Tesla uses. So they wire bond all their batteries. And so that's the method I use. It's a lot safer.
I'm interested in that. I'm in a battery startup, and the reason I wanted to comment was that we're aiming for 1 to 3 kilowatt hours per kilogram.
Oh, okay.
And you know, 1 out of the lab, and 2 early mass production, 3 a couple of years out on mass production.
Okay.
And our price point, we're looking at $100 a kilowatt hour.
Oh, wow.
Going down from there.
Okay.
You should sponsor Casey.
How are you guys building your battery? Are you wire bonding the batteries, or?
Well, we haven't got that far yet, but I was intrigued by that. That sounds like something we should know about and use. And maybe we could do some, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, I've talked to the guys with the wire bonder, the manufacturer. I've had several conversations, and you know, obviously you have to do high volume for it to make sense. But the equipment's expensive, you know, and they have different sizes. So you know, depending on the size of module you want to build.
Yeah,
but,
well,
it's awesome technology.
We're planning to build hundreds of millions of kilowatt hours per year.
That's awesome.
That should do the trick.
All right. Next, gotcha.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my question was more so about the marketing portion of it. Of course, I was looking to purchase the scrambler myself, but I also saw that some of the bikes are already have sold out tags on them already as far as getting one of the bikes produced. So, I mean, how does the marketing go with these bikes? To me, when I first,
I think your question's for Rumble, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm saying like it's. I mean, it seems like everything is in California. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm in Philadelphia, and it's like I hear this and I see this, but it's like, where, you know what I'm saying? Like, where is mine, basically? So how you understand where I'm getting at? Does that make sense?
Casey, why don't you share? I know you tried to have shipped bikes internationally before. What were some of the struggles you had when it came to getting them outside of your area to customers?
The customers ended up having more of the struggles than I did. Usually when they're importing the bike, you know, I had no problem shipping it off, but you know, I had a customer in Australia who bought 2 of my bikes, and they have 100% import tax. So he was dropping, for each one of my bikes, it was insane. Like, he's dropping 14, 15 grand, you know, to have my bike in Australia, which is nutty, you know. But I understand what you mean, Kasha. Like, California, that's why, you know, that's kind of EV central. Maybe Texas and Florida, you know, is kind of coastal. But hopefully that will expand as the technology, you know, gets better and the cost comes down and more people, you know, kind of like, I think electric bikes still have a long way to go. I've been doing this for over 10 years. You know, I'm really excited to see some of the new products come out. I'm a big fan of the Sur-On. I think electric motocross I was a fan of Alta, and I toured their factory until they went out of business. So it's just so hard to do this, you know, and that's why so many people are going to China and just rebranding stuff, you know. As far as your question, how I market, I was on Discovery Channel. I thought that would be pretty helpful. It was, but you know, it didn't really produce a whole lot of orders. You know,
sometimes I just think we're kind of on like the weirder side of things, because to me the electric vehicle concept is just, it's like, it's a no-brainer to me, but you know, other people is just, you know.
It's gonna be, you know, it is the future. I think everybody realizes that. I enjoy the freedom it gives for design and manufacturing. You know, the first gas motorcycle I showed you, I think doing something in that style, electric works way better. You know, from the hub motor idea to, you know, people are on the fence with hub motors, but I like them. I don't think unsprung weight is an issue if you stay on the road. I wouldn't use it for an off-road vehicle, but it makes sense.
I want to share something with Kasha here. So there's an electric vehicle association in Philadelphia, which they are definitely the one here. The Sacramento Electric Vehicle Association here is a big advocate for increasing adoption all across the area. So you might see what they're up to on it, because they can help be an advocate for, because it's a two-pronged problem. It's getting the vehicles at the right price and then having charging places for them.
Yeah.
All right. I see Daniel has his hand up, but I'm going to quickly go to some of the ones that I have in the chat. From Selvin, what is the length of the battery in regards to miles? And how long does it take to charge?
I don't have any secret charging infrastructure. I use off-the-shelf chargers right now. So it depends on the battery. I'm still kind of playing with the motorcycle battery. I don't have too much to give you on the motorcycle realm. I'm going from 48 72 volts to 96 120 volts. So with higher voltage, it's more efficient. So I'm hoping that the battery will get a little increase in range, a little more than running at 48 volts. We'll see. But the biggest battery I ever built for my bicycle was a 4860. And that went from Orange County down to Mexico on one charge without pedaling. We built this bike to not pedal. And so just throttle about 20 miles an hour. It went, a 60 amp hour battery that'll go, you can guess a mile or a little over a mile per amp hour. So, we did about a little over 670 miles. That was a 70-mile trip.
From Greg Holman, any challenges to register for street use?
Yeah, I'm going to get into that. I've already made the contacts to have my 17-digit VIN number on the frame. So that's why I'm interested in kits, what Mike brought up. I'm tired of building these myself. I think it's easy enough. If I design it right, I think they can be plug and play, where you can really build your own, design your own, and it'll be a lot cheaper for you. So I can just try to offer high quality, low cost parts. I don't know if I answered.
If you do it so that it fits the makerspace concept, then people could go to a makerspace to do it.
Yeah, and that's why Mike's the makerspace guy, so that would be awesome to kind of work with something like that. I'd be totally open to that. I'd love to open source these parts. I'm not patenting anything. There's really nothing to patent. It's all design, but if I can get the cost, I really like building this. It's kind of like the BMX frame. You can't really patent that, but you can. I don't know where I'm going with that.
We're going to do two quick questions. So before we go on to the next one, first off, Terrence Daniels, you're using space age materials. What's your opinion of Aptera?
What's my opinion of what? Sorry.
APTERA.
Aptera.
It's the plane that looked like the car that looked like an airplane without wings.
Yeah, you'd have to show me a picture of it. I'd have to look it up.
Okay, and next with Daniel Clark's hand up, I'm going to raise your hand. Daniel, what's your question?
Sure. 1 second, let me lower my hand. Yeah, I think they should put the hand raising on there. I think people that are new to here, they don't know you have to click participants to actually raise the hand. But back to the question, that's your 30, did you say it was 35 kilowatts you're going to put on there?
Yeah, it's a 35 kilowatt motor.
That's a monster. So I have a few questions. One is, I heard you mention something about like some side panels. Are those going to be to stop the heat? And do you have a solution for that? So like people, like on a motorcycle, some stuff you could burn your leg when it starts to get hot.
Yeah, that's a great question. For motorcycles, I'm using kind of ambient air cooling. Motorcycle batteries, you don't really need. It's the cost of thermal management for motorcycles. It would just make the bike even more expensive. And so you really have to balance cost with performance. The car batteries are so much bigger that cooling is a necessity. I think cooling on a motorcycle battery could be awesome. I I poor man patented a thermal management system for lithium batteries, and I almost got a grant through the government to test at Berkeley, the lab at Berkeley. It's a really cool setup. I have the hardware here. I think it'd be awesome. It's lightweight and strong, and it uses glycol like Tesla. It uses just automotive fluid. But I think that I've developed a few ways for thermal management, but for what I'm building right now, I don't know if it'd be a good fit because of cost. But I'd love to build like 1 or 2 prototypes with a liquid cooled battery as well as motor.
Cool. And then last question is, I mean, that thing's gonna go fast when you, I mean, are you worried about like lawsuits, like when all of a sudden somebody gets hit and then they die and they sue you? Would you be concerned about that? Because it sounds like this is something that could take off.
Yeah, this is, that's why my old business partner didn't want to do it because of liability, but I got nothing to lose, like I've came back and I'm building back in my garage, which I prefer to keep my overhead down. So now I'm thinking like, how could I do this and be really scrappy? The whole liability issue, I think if it's done right, you can do it. I've known guys that build custom motorcycles and do a small run of 20, 30. I don't think it's any different from building a custom gas motorcycle. I think offering kits would help the liability. And so that's one other reason I'm really thinking of the kit route, and just to get the cost down. And these bikes are like, motorcycles have never been easier to build or ride. And I think that's what needs to be marketed, and then like how-to videos on YouTube, but hey, buy this frame, buy this wheel kit, open source all the parts, buy a frame from me, buy a wheel set from this dude, or buy like a whole chassis for me, and then go to your maker space and build whatever you want,
At your own risk, or maybe you could put a governor on it or something.
Yeah, no, that's totally doable. The Regen braking makes custom electric motorcycles cool too. I don't have a front brake on my prototype, but the Regen, with the right controller, you can use full Regen, and my friend in Southern California was riding his motorcycle around with no brakes. He's just relying on Regen. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, it opens up the door to some crazy stuff and still be pretty safe. So the Regen is a safety additive, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Casey. That was a lot of fun. Now, just quickly, is there anyone is RJ in the audience or someone from Rumble Motors? All right. Well, I guess I have to apologize for people who came here explicitly for them. I haven't heard from them in the past day and a half. But I did want to kind of highlight some of the stuff they had been showing us and talking with us about. So they're looking to relocate and start building in Sacramento, because currently they build overseas and almost all their customers are in the United States and Canada. So they are hopefully relocating over here so that it's easier to ship to people like Kasha. Now, some of the things, I'm going to quickly do a new share and just share. So we recently kind of put out a blog to kind of talk with them about what they were working on and what was kind of exciting them. And they shared with us some pictures from their workshop of what they're actually trying to build what they've been building right now for their next gen bike. So you can kind of see what they're working on there. It's similar to the fat tire that you saw in the other 2 models here, and looking pretty cool. And one thing that I thought was interesting is if you notice, both Casey's and Rumble Motors have pedals on them, like bike pedals. So you can bike pedal that you can actually drive the bike with. Now, Casey, I remember you were telling me why your original bikes had bike pedals and the importance of that on how it's classified by I think the Department of Transportation. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was basically for the cops, but again, this was 2007, 2008. So the raws were really weird. I was nervous at the time of liability, like the other question, and that's why we put pedals on the first one. And it was still new, in 2007, 2008, there there was no fat tire cruisers. There was nothing. So, so it was kind of a novel idea at the time, but yeah, there's a lot of people doing it.
So this is what I guess their new model bike that they're putting out there right now that they're designing is. Also, I'm going to share with you guys. They're trying to fundraise now. At Clean Start, we help accelerate companies, and we typically tell them actually not to do what Ramon Mosers is doing, which is crowdfunding. But as you can see, that they've had some success getting the crowdfunding to help them kind of try to move over here to the greater Sacramento area. And it's actually real exciting to watch. And again, I apologize that they couldn't, that they were unable to make it tonight.
Did they give us any information, Thomas, about how much one of these bikes cost, where they sell them for?
So you can go and look at what they have. Now they still are building these on an individual hand basis scale. That's one of the reasons that you see a lot of them are sold out and are unavailable. But they're hoping that when they actually move and relocate, that they'll actually be able to scale and meet the demand that they have for them. So these are kind of what's available there. You can find it on their rumblemotors.com and kind of see that they're pretty cool.
How do they turn?
This one here, we can see it has a shaft that goes down there, and it has kind of the pivot wheels like that. There's probably a technical name for them if someone wants to chime in and share. But the spokes are down here. So the spokes that you see up on top on them right here, on these are down at the bottom.
Yeah, so the rumble and the rumbles, it looks like it's turning by tilting, because I don't see any evidence that they're able to actually turn the wheel.
Yeah, no, it's this articulated frame down here.
Oh, it turns from back there?
Yeah, it turns down here.
Oh,
see?
Yeah, now I see it. Cool.
Yeah. All right.
But it's great design. So
weird as hell, but it is good design.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of do find it interesting that if you do look at their vehicles, their new ones, which are the Rumble Air, do not go with that design.
Yeah.
So they go almost with more of a,
cheaper.
Cheaper. What kind of Casey has done on his, and yeah. So I'm gonna go. So I'm sorry that they weren't able to make it tonight.
Was there another question for Chris that we put to
Yes.
the end?
Have you thought about leasing, Chris?
See if
Chris Wiggins, a Glide Cruiser.
Yeah, he's still on.
Yep.
You're on mute, Chris.
How about now?
That's better.
There I am. Okay, good. Yeah, no, absolutely. We're, especially with the police division and the rental adventure tours, we're starting to entertain leasing. On an individual basis, I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm open to ideas. So so yes is the answer. We're looking at it and starting to do it.
All right.
Do you have any more questions for our presenters? All right.
I have a question. This is Laura. I just wondered if Mars and Rumble put their heads together, if there might be some potential synergies or partnership, especially in terms of ramping up production on the Mars side.
Hopefully, I'd hope that everyone would partner and work together. We do have the Smud Mobility Center, which is partnered with him out of Auckland, Germany, and they are actually they specialize in getting companies together to do scale manufacturing. So, Casey, would you want to partner with Rumble?
Yeah, I'd be willing to talk for sure and see if they're, I think that's a great idea. I have a lot of other ideas as well for other products, but who knows? But yeah,
Well,
sure.
it sounds like Clean Start can make that introduction.
Yeah, I really appreciate Clean Start and everybody on here and in the support of the EV community. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Casey, for joining us. Thank you, Chris, as always.
Thank you.
On a highlight, we do have our to-do meetings that are August 6th, 13th, and 15th in Power Energy, Clipper Creek, and Cal Seed. So if you're in California and you have an idea for a startup, and you just want to get that first 70,000, make sure you come to the Cal Seed to-do so you can hear more about that program. And we have these COVID resources and ways to connect with us across social media, because apparently we're everywhere now, including Instagram. And someone told me about something called TikTok that we might get on.
Yeah, Tipper or something is the new one.
TikTok, yeah.
So also be sure to sign up for our newsletter so that you're consistently hearing about the events that we have. So just go to cleanstart.org, our website, and you can figure out how to sign up for the newsletter there.
Or even better, I will just drop it into the chat.
There you go.
You guys go. You can sign up for the newsletter right there. All right. So thank you for coming. And I want to give additional thanks to our program sponsors at Packer Lab and Ernst & Young and our community partners that enabled this to happen. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I do see some hands up in the audience. I'm going to quickly call them. Selvin.
Yes, I know we saw all the presentations from, the other creators in here. We want to see also, you think you'll be able to have another one with Rumble Motors maybe in the future so they can make up?
We will definitely invite them and still work to integrate them into the Sacramento community and talk about all the good work they're doing. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Fedor, would you want to go ahead? Fedor? So there?
Oh, sorry, probably wrong.
Okay.
Moment.
Did you have a question, or was that an inadvertent raised hand?
No question at this time. Sorry.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending. If you have additional questions or want to stay around for a little bit and network, please do. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and also stop the live stream. Thank you for attending. See you guys in the future.